the result than the calculation. Okay, you got your Del Taco half pound? Remember we were actually doing Del Taco analysis before. You may have forgotten that already. We talked about Guinness and burritos. Sorry I did this to you on a Thursday morning. Okay, you ready? Is that good in the screen? Decent, okay. All right, we got everything in L1. Here we go. Everything's set up. You can run one var stats, don't. You could run one var stats, and that would give you your sample standard deviation and your sample size, which you could take the square root of, use the central limit theorem, and then multiply by t. The problem is you don't know what t is. You'd have to know what the multiplier was. I say, forget the chart, forget that, let the machines do it for us. So, let's let the machines do it for us. Press the stat button, go over to tests, go over to tests, and then you're going to scroll down until you find the one that's just called t-interval. T-interval. Mine's at number 8. Mine's at number 8. T-interval. Not one mean t-interval, just t-interval. That's all it is. There's no confusion. You see the one right above it? The one right above it, the z-interval, you're never going to use that. As a matter of fact, right now I'm going to tell you this. There's lots of places you see z's in this menu. Number 3, 2-samp z-test. Number 1 is called a z-test. Somewhere down below there's some other z stuff. You are never going to use anything with a z unless it also has what 4 letters with it? Prop. You're never going to use any z's in this menu unless it also has a prop with the z. What does prop stand for? Proportion. That's why I tell you proportions go with z, means go with t. Although you're not going to see mean up here, it just says t, and the implication is that you're doing means. Is that fair? Good. Let's do it. T-interval. The screen looks a little bit different. The screen looks a little tiny bit different than it did for the one prop z, for the single proportion parameter estimate. Okay? Because the first thing you have is an input choice. Okay? The first one up there, it says input data or stats. Now, you could input the stats if you want, but you'd have to actually go through one var stats and calculate them. Please don't do that. Just change the input method to data. And now, it'll do all that for you anyway. The reason I like the other menu is sometimes when you actually read journals, they'll give you the summary stats. They'll give you the sample mean, the sample standard deviation, and tell you there were 620 in my sample. Well then, you have to do it that way. You can't do it this way. But if you have raw data, go to data, and then just tell it where your data is. Mine's in L1, so I've got to change that to L1. Everybody cool with changing lists? With changing lists from back and forth from one to the other? L1, L2, L3. Just second and then whatever number you need. Good. What's our frequency? What's our frequency? What goes here?
1.
For raw data, 1. Yeah. If everything's in L1, your frequency is 1. And what does it mean, frequency 1? What does that mean again? Why is it 1 and not, say, 2 or 3 or 4 or something along those lines? Not yet. It's going to calculate that, Dina. But, yes, count everything one time. What do we sometimes put in this frequency list?
L2.
L2, when we have a frequency distribution. This goes back to Kaylee's question about 20 minutes ago. We'll get to that. We'll see if we get to it today. Confidence level, 95% is totally fine. Totally fine. Calculate. Boom. It takes a little bit longer to calculate these with the TI. It takes a little bit longer. Remember that function that Gossett figured out by hand? That thing's a bear for a machine to calculate. Compared to the Z distribution, the Z distribution has one variable in one place, boom, done. The T's a little more nested. It's a little more nested. It's got iterative functions within it. A little bit more nesty. But here is our final result. Here is our final result. The final result is this. What does it mean? What does this mean? So this, I'll go ahead and round it off for you. So this is for a Del Taco half pound bean cheese burrito. The 95% confidence interval is roughly, I'm going to call that 0.517. I'm going to go with the same level of accurate precision that my scale had, to 0.535. Okay, I'm ready for interpretation. Please tell me what that means. You guys didn't mind that. So, oh, you only have 25 in a minute, but it should be 30. You must have forgotten the list. It's okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Even your data, even your result proves my point, or at least will prove my point here momentarily. Give me a synopsis of what that means. Start with I am, and tell me your name, friend.
Eric.
Eric, go.
I don't know, does that mean that the average burrito weighs between those two?
That's exactly. But how confident are you in your results?
95%.
Boom! Eric is 95% confident that a Del Taco bean and cheese burrito weighs, put two more words in there, weighs, comma, first word is on,
Average.
next word is average. 95% confident that a Del Taco half-pound bean and cheese burrito weighs, comma, on average, comma, between 0.517 pounds and 0.535 pounds. That's not a percentage. Please realize that, right? That is not a percentage. That is those are whole numbers. So that's a half a pound and a 1/1700th of a pound, and then a half a pound and 3500th of a pound. Is that fair? See what I'm getting at? It looks like this is where context has to kick in, where you have to know that's an average and not a percentage.
So they're actually pretty good.
Boom! And this was my answer, Chris. I set out to discover how much a half-pound bean and cheese burrito from Del Taco weighed, and I discovered that I'm 95% confident, of course, that it weighs at least a little bit over half a pound. So then I was even more curious. A little more digging. Here's what I discovered. If you look up, if you Google, first of all, this is the quote-unquote nutrition information on Del Taco half-pound bean and cheese burrito. 70% of your sodium in one of them. 52% of your dietary fiber, which was no surprise to anybody, I'm sure, full of beans. 45% of your saturated fat. 4 of them. Now granted, I also burned off 10,000 calories in 4 hours, so I wasn't that concerned. Maybe my heart was. But serving size, you can't see it here. It's 241 grams. I'm American. I can't do grams, so I go to Google. 241 grams per pound. Check it out. 0.53, not 0.5. 0.53, which is damn close, if you remember, to our X bar, isn't it? Our X bar was roughly 0.53, which means what are they doing over there at Del Taco?
They're making them bigger on purpose.
They're making them bigger on purpose to allow for any, because the problem is if you shoot for half a pound, you're going to get half a pound with a margin of error. And exactly the same number are going to fall in below as above that half a pound. If you shoot above, you're going to get more above than below, therefore heading off the potential American pitfall of being sued for stupid things, which would inevitably happen.
So, do they like decide when they're doing this that the risk of being sued is more than
It's my guess, Chris.
0.3?
It's my guess, honestly.
Because that probably adds up after.
It would.
100,000.
People have sued for small portion sizes. From Coke, Coke now fills their 12-ounce cans are filled to 12.1 because of that. Now, who the hell's measuring their Coke? I drink the thing. No, well, I don't do it to sue them. No, I do it to. Well, maybe this is the kind of thing I guess what I measure a Coke 11.9. I'll put some money out of that. Get money when there's a mouse in it. You know, that's what you want to sue. I found a human eyeball in my burrito. Can I get some money back? That's what you want. That's when you want to raise a stink. You see what I'm getting at here? The big thing is knowing which interval to run. Now, I want to drive one point home right now. Let me stop this one again.